I'm BJ Foster, and you're watching Texas Platinum.
Hey guys, welcome back to Texas Platinum. Thanks for tuning in as always. Texas took a really painful loss to Oklahoma, a game that we should have won. Very infuriating. It's just more of the same that we've seen the last couple of years, getting dominated down the stretch in the trenches. So Trevor and I are going to break that down, as well as look forward to a big weekend top 25 matchup in Austin against Oklahoma State. But more importantly, Arch Manning's in town this weekend, so we definitely need to show out for him. But first, please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. We've had great growth on this channel over the past couple of months, and we want to keep that going. So please do that, and thank you. All right, Trevor, just lay it on me, man. Give me your impressions of the game and the debacle that happened in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, both of us were at the game, not together. But I will let's start with the positive here. It felt good to be back. That the fair felt like the busiest I've ever seen it. I got there a little bit later than I typically do, just because we didn't account for the level of traffic, and then we were there at like 9 o'clock, and it was packed. I mean, I've been to many Texas OU games, and of course, it's always packed at the fair on that day, but like that early, it was busiest I've ever seen it. And like we headed into the stadium around like 10:15, so like 45 minutes before kickoff. And even then, it was just a sea of people. There were, I mean, if you were watching on TV, I'm sure you saw like they did a really cool shot where they were showing like just mobs of people going into the stadium already after the ball was kicked off and everything. That's what happened to my father and I last time we went in 2019. We missed like the first drive because we were stuck in the crowd. So we wanted to avoid that next time. But point in being, there were a lot of people. It was really busy. The intensity was there from the beginning. Game wise, obviously we start out super hot. Xavier Worthy right off the first play. Everyone was obviously super jazzed. Dude just ran through a few wimpy tackles. Marcus Washington with a fantastic block like he's been doing, and just showed off that, 5-star speed to the end zone. That was super exciting. Defense immediately came out on fire from that. Forced a 4 and out, blocked a punt, almost returned it for a touchdown. Should have, honestly, but that's okay because that allowed Bijan to run it in for a touchdown and get that on his statistic chart. But from there, I thought we were going to force another 3 and out. We were so close. Yeah, it was like 3rd and 18 or something like that. And Spencer Rattler throws the ball to Woods, who that's when we kind of knew, like, okay, these refs are not going to give us many breaks today, because he clearly stepped out of bounds. And he wasn't shoved out either. And it was on the screens, and like everyone knew it, but sure enough, they gave him the first down, and then they go and score a touchdown. And from there, we're like, okay, it's going to be a game. But we continued to do really well offensively. Casey's deep ball was hitting for the first time all season, so that was very impressive. Forced a few turnovers on Rattler. With that interception, and then he fumbled the ball later, I believe, in the second quarter. So things were going really well, both sides of the ball. We were finally playing like a complete football game. And at one point, even myself, I was like, are we going to blow these guys out? Like, that was going through my head. I'm like, no, there's no way. Like, and it was funny because there was a Sooner family sitting behind us in the Texas section. And they were just so beside themselves. They were nice people. Like, leaving the game, like I like they were classy people. Good, because if they weren't, this would have been a rough game to have arrogant Sooner fans behind you. But anyway, they were just like so beside themselves throughout the first half. And my father and I, being a little bit pessimistic, and rightfully so after all these years, I've seen so much disappointment. We're like, just wait, there might be a game here. Just wait. And sure enough, right after that 4th-and-1 conversion by Caleb Williams, at that point, I'm like, okay, that guy's good. And this may be a ball game. And sure enough, eventually they go to Caleb, and then everything falls apart. Our offense can't do crap. Our lines, both sides, just are getting dominated. Receivers aren't able to connect with Casey. And then Oklahoma just starts hitting these miraculous deep ball off schedule plays that honestly, like, it infuriates me, because I'm like, we're doing what we can, and like, it's like 3rd and like 17, and they're, our defensive line needs to be a lot better. We need to generate pressure on these quarterbacks, because when you got 6 seconds to throw a ball, I mean, I guess you can, do a good job sending up a prayer, but to do it like 3 times for like, 3 50-yard bombs that just hit in coverage, it just, I don't know, it makes you scratch your head and like almost feel like our program is cursed, because this keeps happening to us, and it's, I don't know. There's no words, but yeah, I guess before I go into, talking about the rest of the game, let me toss it over to you. I guess walk me through your initial thoughts on the game, because I could talk for a while, and I want to give you an opportunity.
Yeah, this is the game where there's so much to say. I mean, let me start off with the negatives. All right, there were a lot of negatives, but it just became glaringly obvious as the game wore on, specifically in the second half, that our offensive line is like historically bad. In the
They're
third
awful.
quarter and fourth quarter, literally it was like we were playing without a line half the time, because the defensive front for OU would be in there immediately every time.
Pass
And then
rush was boom.
and then people will blame Sark for letting off the gas in the second half, or not running enough in the second half. No matter what we tried to do, it wouldn't work, because we were getting blown up every time. And when we weren't, it was already like 3rd and long, and we were in a horrible spot. So, and then also we were not helping ourselves at all with all the snap infractions and stuff,
Oh god.
making
Yeah.
long drives, holding calls. There were many times you can just tell, like, you get a penalty on the first set of downs, and you're like, I would just say that this drive's killed. And I was right, like, multiple times. So you can't have those. And OU had literally like no penalties all game, besides the one holding call they decided to finally call. But whenever you're in the Big 12, you have to know there's two things that are just always a given. TCU DBs are going to mug receivers downfield and not be called, and OU linemen are going to hold on every play and not be called. So
Yeah.
we need to definitely implement that in our game plan if it's not going to be called, because I think that was part of the reason we had very little pass rush and run defense. But also our defense, honestly, I don't think we're that talented on defense. It really kind of showed on Saturday. We have 2 really good players on defense, I feel like, and that's DeMarvion Overstone and Anthony Cook. Aside from that, it's there's a lot of spotty players here and there, especially like for most of the game, we had Jet Bush and Luke Brockermeyer playing significant snaps. Like, they were playing down the stretch. Like, that's 2 undersized walk-ons you have playing in the front 7 against the top 5 team, the 6-time defending champions of the Big 12, Oklahoma, who always has a great O-line, and playing against Kennedy Brooks. You like, just, it doesn't. That's not a recipe for success, and you can't blame all that on coaching too much. But are there not better players on the team than these 2 guys? I mean, Brockermeyer did fine, but Jet Bush was getting just manhandled a lot of the time. Like, we need to definitely flex Moro Ojimo out to the end like he used to play. And then the other end needs to be Collins at all times. And interior, there needs to be Murphy and Sweat as the majority.
Did Murphy really play? I didn't see him really at all.
He played a little bit, but not as much as he should. Like, Coburn's eating up most of those snaps. And Coburn's just an average player, it feels like. So we need difference makers in the front 7. But then also, while our defense did look horrible and our tackling broke down and they became super gassed, I do feel like they were put in horrible positions. They just got very unlucky a lot of the time. I mean, whenever we did score, it was like immediately, or we'd go 3 and out immediately. Like the offense didn't really help giving the defense rest, which you can't blame the offense for scoring too fast. You need to be conditioned to play a lot of snaps if the offense is good, because the offense needs to score regardless. We can't worry about scoring too fast. But that didn't help the defense. And then also, 7 plays, I believe, accounted for like 360 yards of like the Oklahoma yardage, like 360 of the plus 600 they had. So a lot of chunk plays, which are obviously like death blows to Texas, but I think that made it definitely look way worse than it was. I mean, like 2 of those jump balls to Marvin Mims were drive savers. We had him in 3rd and long, and then we had Williams flush out of the pocket, and he just last second, just desperation heave. And they converted on both of those, converted those drives where it would have been otherwise a punt. They both converted those into touchdowns where it would have been 14 points off the board for them. So the defense shows signs, but they're just having trouble finishing drives and stuff like that. And also our DBs, I don't know what is wrong with they cannot play the ball very well on those jump balls downfield. I don't know if that's coaching or players or what, but it's just really tiring to see every year, every week. It's the same thing. BJ Foster's a good player. Really good physical. I mean, he played well against OU, but on those jump balls, it's not pretty half the time. So we need to make sure he gets coached up there. But yeah, defensively, it was kind of a tale of 2 halves, because I will give them credit. They were ready for Spencer Rattler. And that's part of the reason also why they probably got exposed, because we were flying around doing well against Spencer Rattler. Then they put in Caleb Williams and he breaks a long run. And then all of a sudden we're terrified of him as a runner, and that in the zone read, it kind of froze our defensive front, our linebackers. But on that long run, we were in position, that 4th and 1.
Yep.
Jaron Thompson filled that gap and he was
tacklers
there. Yeah, they were there for him. I mean, PK put him in the right spots to stuff that, and then if we would have stuffed that, it would have been a 14-point swing, because we'd have been right there with all the momentum right in front of our the OU end zone. And then we missed the tackle and I go 65 yards. That's a 14-point swing. So a lot of little things like that really just let this OU stay alive a lot. And it cost Texas at the end. But, I mean, silver lining, Casey Thompson, no one's even talking about, but he just happened to put up 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions with pretty much no O-line down the stretch, which is amazing. I mean, Xavier Worthy's a star. Bolitnikov conversation as a freshman. He definitely has, the potential to be the best receiver that ever came through Texas. And then Bijan did great too. But second half, they kind of swallowed him up, because they were getting so much push. He had to like fight and claw to just the line of scrimmage in the second half, it seemed like. But yeah, so very disappointing. But I'll hand it back to you.
We got so many points that about this game, like you said. Another thing I wanted to touch on, something that really bothered me a lot. Second half, I know that you said we didn't run the ball enough, but one thing that I felt like we could do is at least try, because we kept, obviously the run wasn't working whenever we did try. But I think we could have tried even more, because if anything, you could kill clock with running the ball. I mean, if we're getting 3 and outs, let's not try passing each time. Let's try running consistently and burn this clock, because Oklahoma was getting hot. I mean, we did get points to end the first half, which was good. That made me feel very good heading into the second, because Oklahoma's getting the ball. But I mean, the second that you were there, you saw it. Whenever the Oklahoma players like ran out of the tunnel onto the field for the second half, they were jumping up and down, hyping up the fans. The Oklahoma side of the Cotton Bowl was so loud from that point on. It was just the momentum swings in this game are always critical. And from that moment on, I almost knew, like, oh God, we're probably going to lose this game, just because so much energy was on the Oklahoma sideline. But regardless, what I'm getting at is we got a lead, a comfortable lead at that. Let's just try running the ball more. And I get it. Like, we don't want to give Bijan too many carries, but also, I don't know how Sark forgot, but I mean, we have two really good running backs in Roshan Johnson and Keelan Robinson, and they got 0 carries, 0 the entire game. That blew my mind and really still pisses me off because I put that on coaching. Like, you can't give these guys at least 1 carry. Like, I get it if you don't want to give Bijan a ton of touches and stuff, but you got to run the ball a lot more, especially when you're up. Kill some clock. Your defense looks gassed as can be. And here you are, trying to do passes. And I get it. That's part of the all gas mentality. That's part of Sark's offense. He's looking for those big plays. And we just weren't quite hitting. But if anything, like, be a little, at least be smart whenever you're clearly struggling on the offensive side of the ball. And if anything, just try to kill some clock, because we weren't killing clock, and that allowed Oklahoma a lot more time to be able to get back into the game. Unfortunately, Oklahoma kind of went, I think, kind of near the middle to end of the fourth quarter, they went and killed a bunch of clock, and that made me actually feel better. I'm like, I'm glad you're killing clock, because if you don't, you're going to just rout us. So that was one thing that I definitely wanted to mention that really frustrated me is I just don't know how you can't give those two guys carries. And I mean, and at least be creative with them. Like Roshan, you got that Wildcat package. I'm sure that would have done something. And if not, ditch it. Keelan, he's so good with those sweeps. We didn't even try a sweep, and I'm sure we could have gotten something like at least try. Is what I'm getting at. So that was something that my father and I talked about really the whole time we were watching in the second half. Is we didn't understand why there wasn't any creativity with the run game, really, and implementing those players. Because again, totally understand you don't need to give Bijan 35 carries a game like you did last week, but at least you got all these other really good running backs that you can absolutely implement, and you just haven't, and you refuse to do it. That bothered me a lot. And then I guess just kind of final point for me in regards to this game. We did it again. I think we awoke the monster that is the University of Oklahoma football team. They probably now have found their quarterback in Caleb Williams. I'm hearing rumors about Spencer transferring. I think it's way too early to tell. I think they are simply just that, being rumors, but they found they got their mojo back, and it's because we just fell apart. And I think that Texas has the ability. On paper and talent wise, we have the ability to go win out and play them in the Big 12 championship. But I'll be honest right now, right here, unless something like significantly changes, even if we play them in the Big 12 championship, which would be great to just get there, because I think that's key in recruiting, and that's key in Bijan potentially getting a Heisman invitation. We definitely need those two things to happen. Those two things will happen likely as a result of us getting back to the Big 12 if we can get there. The only thing is, I'm not so confident we actually will get there unscathed. I think we may very well drop a game because these mistakes are just really piling up ever since TCU. Even Texas Tech, we gave up big plays. That was, that's been shown on film with Texas Tech and now Oklahoma, that we are very prone to giving up big plays and can't generate a pass rush. And then against TCU, just a lot of errors and inability to execute in key situations. I just think that that's going to bite us again down the road. We got two difficult games coming up after this game. On the road at Baylor, on the road at Iowa State. Both of those I don't think are great matchups for Texas, because those are two physical defenses, physical teams with good running backs that I am very concerned about, especially being on the road. So I know neither of those teams are like world beaters, and they're certainly not as good as Oklahoma, but I think those are two very losable games. Plus, we just haven't performed on the road. So I'm feeling a little pessimistic, obviously, coming off of this game. And I think even if we do somehow win out and play Oklahoma, I don't feel good about the rematch because I think Oklahoma got their mojo back and now they're going to go win out and get to the playoff. No problem. Hopefully that's not the case. And hopefully if we do rematch with them, we're able to get revenge and win. But personally, at the time being, unless something significant happens, I'm not feeling good about it. So that's my final OU thoughts. How about you, Myers?
It feels like Sark is kind of patching together a good team
Yeah.
out of a team roster-wise that has so many deficiencies. I mean, you got to keep in mind this is year one of Steve Sarkisian, and we definitely look a lot better in year one of Sark than we did with Herman or Strong by far. But it's just so deflating seeing us blow that game. And moral victory, silver lining, all that. We definitely would have won if we played the OU that was playing in the first 5 weeks if there was Spencer. But of course, they happened to just throw out another Heisman quarterback in the second quarter that just went off on us. But I disagree. I mean, if we go run the table, or even with one loss, we can probably still make the Big 12 title. One more loss, I think we can definitely play OU really close and give them trouble. I mean, if we're able to scheme for Caleb Williams, hopefully things will go better on defense. And it's hard to beat a team twice in the same season as we saw in 2018 when it was the reverse, where we beat OU in Dallas and then they beat us in the championship. So I'm not and also about that, it's kind of interesting how Sark, all the players are saying it out loud that they want a rematch in Dallas. Like, that would never happen with Herman. Herman wouldn't even mention that. Herman would be like, we had a great practice Sunday. We're focused on going 1-0 against Oklahoma State. But our players are being very vocal and intentional about wanting to get that rematch. So I hope that's a good thing. I hope it's not them looking too far forward. But, I mean, we can definitely win out. I mean, there's no one on our schedule. Like, yes, at Iowa State, at Baylor, those are challenges. But I think we can definitely win if we play our A game. The thing is, we've played 6 games, right, with Coach Sark as our head coach. And 4 of those 6 games we played against teams with inferior talent, or I would say comparable talent, because our trench talent is horrible. And we've looked really well against them. We've done really well. We've executed. We've won all those games. We've blown a lot of those teams out. But with the 2 games we played against teams that have good linemen, offensively and defensively, good linebackers, we kind of got pushed around a lot. So that kind of shows me that, yes, the roster's obviously not there. We need to recruit our butts off and get all these Devin Campbells, Kelvin Banks, literally anyone. Get the Brockermeyers out of the portal. We need, because if you look forward to next year, I mean, our 3-headed monster's coming back with Casey, Bijan, and Worthy. This offense is going to be electric, even with a bad offensive line. But if we have a good offensive line, it's going to be absolute insanity, like a national championship level offense. So Sark and Flood need to work to, not only add additions in the portal and recruiting, but we need to coach these guys up as much as we can. I mean, Christian Jones, he's not very good right now, but I mean, if you look at him, he's got all the traits you want out of an NFL tackle.
Yeah.
He just isn't putting it together. So just coach these guys up. I know he reshuffled the line this week with Tope Amade is going to start at guard now. They're moving Kerstetter back out to tackle, which is good. We had more success with that earlier in the season, so hopefully that helps. But I think we're good enough to beat all these teams in the rest of our schedule, like you said. But Sark's just dealing with some roster deficiencies, and Sark didn't call a perfect game either. I mean, there were things we left out there. But I thought we played well. He coached well enough to win. He had us ready at the beginning. We were the more juiced team, which I haven't seen against OU in a while, where we come out, where our players are jumping around, firing the crowd up, and then we're setting the tone early. It's usually the other way around. So that was promising to see, but we just kind of ran out of gas as soon as OU started to hit us back in the mouth. So we're halfway through the season now, and I feel good about the Sark hire, but there's a lot of work to be done. And but if we win this weekend, we'll be in a good spot heading into the bye week. We'll be in the top 20, controlling our Big 12 destiny. So it's not all doom and gloom. There's still some things out there for us.
Yeah, and not to misconstrue, but like sound like I'm saying the sky's falling or anything like that. I just don't feel as good as if we won, obviously. basically just saying what you said. There's some clear deficiencies on this team, and we have not done great against on level or better competition, for lack of a better term. So I don't know. I don't know. But at the same time, I guess, our preseason predictions, both of us picked 9-3. And I mean, that's definitely on the table. So, I think we just didn't expect the offense to be this good this fast. So it makes it disappointing whenever that, and just, how we choked away that game against Oklahoma and everything like that. I think our expectations are really high. Plus, Iowa State not being as good as advertised, I think, really made us think like, hey, we got a real shot of competing. That in Oklahoma. Look, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of reasons as to why this has been disappointing, but it's not over yet. And like you said, we can salvage it and whatnot. I don't know. Currently a little pessimistic, back in a little bit of prove me mode until I see some of these areas get fixed up.
Yeah, it was disappointing because we had them on the roast. It tasted like you could already taste the victory a little bit. I was thinking in my head, I didn't think it was over, but I was like, all right, maybe we are going to beat them. Maybe it is going to be 5-1. And I was looking at them on Twitter, freaking out. It was glorious. All the people talking trash all week were like freaking out, blaming Riley, and then an hour later, it all flips on itself. So
yeah,
it sucks. Definitely one of the most painful losses I can remember. But it's all right. It's all right. We gotta move forward, I guess.
Yeah. Hope for a rematch. All right. Let's move on then to Oklahoma State this Saturday. Another 11 a.m. kickoff. We're getting used to this. We're getting accustomed to this. Now it just feels like a way of life. It seems like, which, I mean, I don't hate it as much as I used to in the past, but it's not good for. I mean, Sark says that he likes it for the recruiting thing that's about to go down this weekend, because apparently he can spend more time with the players post game and into the evening and stuff, which I guess makes sense. But the stadium still isn't going to be as like picturesque and raucous as like a primetime game would have been against a top 15 team in Oklahoma State. But nonetheless, what can you do? Yeah, you just got to make do with what you got. But Oklahoma State comes into this game undefeated. They look pretty solid. I wouldn't say they definitely don't look like world beaters, but they definitely look very solid. Their defense is doing exceptionally well. They are keeping opponents under 20 points. So ironically doing what Coach K, PK was hoping to do. It certainly has not happened this season thus far, but keeping opponents to 19 points per game. The highest number of points that they scored, a team has scored against them, rather, is 23, which is mind-blowing. That's just very difficult to do in modern college football. They haven't really played, they haven't played any amazing teams, but they also haven't played any like bad teams. Like Boise State's a pretty good team. Baylor's a pretty good team. So yeah, and offensively, they've been pretty conservative. Definitely not what they've been in the past. Spencer Sanders is continuing to be hot on and off, flash in a pan type guy that just can't seem to be consistent. And then their run game is actually looking pretty good with who's the running back again? Warren. So ironically, not your guy that you picked for your fantasy draft. But this Warren guy is probably one of the best, least talked about running back in the Big 12, over 500 yards on the season off of 115 carries. So looking pretty good. I think averaging just shy of 5 yards a carry. So it'll be a challenge, definitely offensively and defensively a little bit. And I'll be curious to see how strength versus strength match up. How they're going to be able to stop our offense, and then how our offense is going to be able to try to beat their defense. So, Myers, how about you hop into kind of your initial thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it's not your typical Gundy team. They're definitely a defensive-led team. I think Malcolm Rodriguez is probably their best player on the team. He's a
Yeah.
safety. He's been there forever, but he's a really good player, and they're really good on third down. They have really good third down defense, which is critical because I've I don't know if we're great in third down or not, but
We are.
uh, yeah.
That's
So
definitely a strength of our offense is we're a good third down. Maybe not as much after the Oklahoma game, but coming into it, we were one of the best in the country, I think.
yeah, exactly. So winning third down will be a challenge that we need to definitely do consistently. They have two good receivers. They seem like they always have good receivers at Oklahoma State, but they got Tavion Martin. He's got a nice name, Tavion. That's cool. I think he transferred in from Hale State or something like that, but he's a good player. He has over 300 yards, a couple touchdowns. And then Brennan Presley's a guy that I've always really liked. I don't know why he hasn't broken out yet, but he's super talented. So that guy could present problems for us. He's kind of a smaller, quick twitch type of guy. So uh, hopefully our safeties don't let the receivers get deep on us on those jump balls and stuff. Because if I was Gundy, I would just be having Spencer Sanders just throwing jump balls downfield because we've shown no signs of stopping them. So,
Yeah.
and then Spencer Sanders, obviously, he's just kind of up and down, but he can make those off-schedule plays that Caleb Williams killed us with. So that's going to definitely be a challenge for our defense. But overall, they only average like 25 points. They have not put on a lot of points on anybody. So this could be a really good opportunity for our defense to have kind of a get-right game where they're build some confidence and stop the run. I know Jalen Warren's a really good running back, but I think we can definitely slow him down. So they don't jump off, whenever you watch them on TV and look them up, they don't jump off on the screen like they usually do with Oklahoma State with all the talent they usually have and the deep shots and all that, Mason Rudolph, all those guys. But they're a well-coached team, and they've always played us well under Gundy, specifically in
Mm-hmm.
Austin.
Mm-hmm.
We won the last one, I believe, but before that, we had lost a bunch in
Yes.
a row. So they're definitely going to give us a challenge, I feel like. But I do feel like if we play our A game, we should definitely win this game comfortably on the flip side. So it's important to get Bijan going because we're playing like another great defense. And our O line, man, if the O line just blocks just mildly well, just an average game from the O line, we'll be totally fine. They don't even have to be great because our offense is that good and Bijan is that good. But if our O line can just hold up and be average, I think we'll win this game comfortably.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think that's really what's going to come down to is our offense and how well we're able to execute. Because I mean, if we do what we did these past few games, really, and continue with the high points, I think Oklahoma State generally, of course, depending on what our defense ends up doing as well, but generally, I don't think they'll be able to hang with us given their their offense for this season. They're definitely very run heavy as well. So I figured that Oklahoma State's going to try all they can to dominate the line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball and just kill clock and make this a slow game for us. So I'm very curious to see just kind of how our defense plays it. And if we're able to get them off the field and prevent them from having long drives that just eat up a bunch of clock, because that we should be able to put up a good amount of points. But if Oklahoma State's just driving down the field and eating up, halves at a time of quarters, off of long sustained drives and killing clock, that makes it much more difficult for us to actually go and score and put up points. And honestly, I think that's going to be something that Texas encounters really going forward for the rest of the season. Is teams know that we're really good at putting up points, and now with like Texas Tech and Oklahoma behind us, teams that put up a lot of points generally, I don't think we're going to be getting into. I mean, we probably will get into some track meets, but like intentional track meets, I don't think we will really be getting into. I think offenses and defenses are going to do everything they can to just slow us down and dominate time of possession. So that's what I'm most curious about, I guess. But really, that's the whole game. That's the name of the game. So, yeah.
I'm excited to see Alfred Collins get the training wheels taken off of him because he had a sack against OU and he's been playing well. Sark said that he's been playing well the last couple of weeks, getting better. And now he has to just play like a lot. There's no more him coming in off the bench. He's going to start because Jacoby Jones is out with the injury.
Yeah.
So we finally get to see Alfred Collins, who's by far probably our best talent, or at least potential talent NFL wise on the line. He's definitely he's a 5-star for a reason. So you can just see it whenever he's out there. So hopefully he just starts coming into his own and wreaking havoc because we need an edge rusher. I mean, we're starting to realize how important Quan Graham and Joseph Osai were for our defense in that front seven. So we need people to step up really bad. And I think this is a good chance for Alfred Collins to start, turning some heads because he definitely has the talent and the ability to do that. Also, I said it last week, but I'm kind of keeping it going because no one's running away with the Heisman yet. Another primetime game for us against a good defense, but this is another chance for Bijan to make a case as Heisman contention because it's like I said, no one seems to want this Heisman, and Bijan's been playing well. So hopefully you can have a 200-yard game, score a couple touchdowns, and just kind of take control of the Heisman race because it's wide open. So I'm hoping the O-line shows up for Bijan. But that's all I really got on this game, man. I feel like we'll win it, but it's hard to trust our team with the deficiencies we have in the trenches. You just don't know if Oklahoma State's going to start pushing us around down the stretch.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to use the Heisman talk as a segue in a moment into recruiting, where we could talk about just how big of a recruiting day this is going to be for Sarkisian and his staff. Yeah, agreed. I mean, Bijan definitely should be a candidate in the Heisman conversation. It would have helped a lot if Texas won. I think he'd probably be in the front running if we did win that game. Additionally, if that amazing run where he went beast mode, like that was the best run that I've seen since that Marshawn Lynch beast quake run. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. It looked very similar to that, outside of the fact that he just couldn't quite get in the end zone. Whoever that was for Oklahoma just really made a fantastic effort to just keep running down Bijan. And it honestly kind of upsets me because Cade Brewer could have thrown a block on that particular defender and Bijan would have walked into the end zone. But instead, he just kind of gave up on the play and got excited and watched rather than blocked. And that defender was able to run him down and stop him. Just like, I think he was like barely short. And of course the refs like put us on the 3-yard line, but didn't matter. We scored the next play, but still, if he was able to get in, I think that would have been like definitely put him, that play alone would have squarely put him in the Heisman #1 position, especially if we were able to close out that game and win. But yeah, Bryce Young did not look good against Texas A&M. I blame that mostly on coaching. Just they clearly missed Steve Sarkisian, which feels good to see that we stole someone that even the best team in the country clearly covets. And just everyone else. I mean, there's just really no clear front runners, and like we've said on previous shows, I think the nation is excited about the potential of having a running back win it, since it's been since Derrick Henry that they've had a running back win the Heisman. And I don't know, even though it is a little bit biased because we are Texas fans, but I think really most people can say that having a Texas running back, an elite Texas back, is exciting and good for college football. People like that generally. There's Oklahoma quarterbacks, there's Alabama skill position players, or USC skill position players. But whenever you get a Texas running back, people are immediately going to turn some heads because Texas is definitely known for that position group. I'd say that we probably could claim RBU. So it's good to have that there. Joe Klatt's going to be playing the game. If you watched, he did a show, I believe today, well, as of the recording of this show, so Wednesday, he did a show about Bijan Robinson, and he's been vocal about saying that, he thinks that Bijan's the clear #1 Heisman front runner. And I think RG3 has said the same. So a lot of former players are very high on him. I don't know if the committee and some of the old head people are. They like to just focus on the quarterbacks 24/7. But point is, this is a giant game for him, and let's transition that into recruiting, because we're going to have a lot of big recruits there. And if Bijan has a big game, I think that can be fantastic for recruiting and continue to build on the potential Heisman hype. So, Myers, let me hand it back to you. Let's talk a bit about Arch and a lot of these other guys that are going to be in attendance.
Yeah, the young prodigy Arch Manning is going to be in Austin for the game this Saturday. Last time he was here was June, I believe, and he had a great visit. Texas has always been kind of in the lead, not maybe in the lead, but we've been at the top of his recruitment for a while now. We've been consistently there, and he has a great relationship with Coach Sark. I mean, Sark's actually going out there to watch Arch's game on Thursday night. Him and AJ Milby are going. Wow. So that'll be good. He's gonna see Arch Thursday, then see him again in Austin Saturday. So yeah, there's Inside Texas and all these other sites have been putting out a lot of Arch Manning content, predicting Texas as well in the lead right now. But obviously there's a long way to go. But this weekend could go a long way, and kind of Texas starting to pull away in that recruitment. So it's a huge weekend. Arch Manning, the number one player in the nation for 2023. And if Texas were to land Arch Manning, I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, or if it's even going to happen, but it's definitely looking very possible. But if Texas were to land him, just the effect it would have on all the other recruits that want to play with Arch Manning would be absolutely insane. It would kind of force us to have maybe the top class in 2023, because I mean, he's that big of a draw, that big of a name that people gravitate towards and play. Kind of like the effect that Chris Sims had when he committed to Texas, where Casey Hampton and other stars followed him. It'd be like that, but maybe even bigger than that, because
kind of like Vince.
Yeah, I mean, when Vince, number one player in the nation, committed to Texas, that class 2002 was our greatest class ever.
Yep.
We had like 6 5-stars in that class, and then that class was ranked 1, and we went on to win a national championship with those guys as upperclassmen. So landing Arch, on the surface, he's a great quarterback who, if we get him, Sark will definitely have him in the Heisman race every year. But just the amount of talent that'll come with him. I mean, even the classes around him, like Evan Stewart, I know he's a class above Arch, but if Evan Stewart starts hearing that Arch is going to commit to Texas, then that can have a positive effect on Evan Stewart. That's a guy that's also going to be in Austin this Saturday, I think, who was at the Cotton Bowl as well. Evan Stewart's the number one player in Texas, wide receiver, electric athlete that Texas looks like we're in a good spot for. So, I mean, it's a loaded weekend, not just those two. I mean, the list goes on and on. I can rattle them off real quick if you want me to. Ernest Green, Malik Abdo. Those are good offensive linemen that we definitely want. Jacoby Matthews, 5-star safety from Louisiana, is going to be here. Jonte Cook, who's one of Arch's best friends. He's like a really highly ranked receiver in 2023. And many others I'm forgetting. But Quincy Wiggins, defensive end from Louisiana. We need that trench talent from the South really badly, because those guys in Louisiana and Alabama and Mississippi, those guys seem to be really, on a different level when it comes to the trenches. So a lot of talent will be in Austin this weekend. So it's super important that we get a win and make a positive impression on the recruits and everything.
Absolutely. And if anyone that is watching is going to the game, please try to make this do your part to make this environment as exciting as possible for the sake of recruiting, for the sake of the future of this program. If you're a student, if you're like a Hellraiser or something, like do what Georgia did maybe, and like paint "We Want Arch" on your backs, kind of like Georgia did, or better yet, do something more original. I'd love to see like signs in the stands, and like Sark is not Sark. Arch is, he's got these other really big programs in Clemson and Georgia and Alabama recruiting him, and obviously those fan bases really show up and are crazy, really. And I don't know if Arch is attracted to the fact that Texas is a little bit more level-headed than some of those, SEC powerhouse schools, but we definitely got to do our part in showing the guys some love. And um, in that regard, I don't think that's, a be all end all, but doesn't hurt to try. So if you're going to the game, please be sure to really bring your pep. And if you can do any signage or paint some chests or anything like that, certainly doesn't hurt to try. But um, just a funny thing there. But yeah, it's going to be big. And I mean, it'll be that alone is going to make the game a lot more fun. Because I think all the games that Arch has been to, his whole family has gone with. And I think even Peyton went to the Georgia game, and I don't know if Eli went, but there's going to be a lot of Mannings, and it's going to be a lot of buzz all weekend. So it'll be exciting. And just if you're a fan and you're going, or even if you're not, just do your part and be sure to make sure that them and all the rest of the recruits feel welcome, because this is as big as it gets.
Yeah, you got to definitely go all out this Saturday when you're in the stadium. Get there early, all that good stuff. Because I was gonna skip this game. I needed to cleanse myself of the disgust that was Saturday, and then I started thinking Arch Manning's gonna be there. I have to go do my part and fill that stadium and be loud. So I'll be there. Y'all need to definitely pull y'all's weight too, because if we get Arch Manning, it's kind of gonna force Texas back into the top. I it's not a sure thing, but I feel like it's about to as close as a sure thing. If you get Arch, it's going to be very hard for Texas not to rise back into the national spotlight.
Agreed. I guess let's go into score predictions to wrap this up. Unless you have any other thoughts that you want to discuss.
No, I'm thinking about my score prediction right now, and I think I got a score in mind, so I'm ready when you are.
Okay. How about you lead it off, I guess, or would you like me to go first?
Yeah, I can go first.
Sure.
I think Texas will win this game. I think it'll be kind of a low-scoring game at first. Might be 3-0 at the end of the first quarter, something like that. But I think second quarter, third quarter, we start seeing some more offense. But I think Texas gets in control of this game, and we kind of take a lot of our frustration from last week on Oklahoma State. Because while Oklahoma State is undefeated and they are a good team, I mean, they've been getting by against decent to below average talent. Baylor's a good team, but that's the best they've played, and they barely beat them at home. So playing in DKR, we've been really good all year. I kind of want to make sure that we go undefeated at home, and this is probably our last tough home game. I mean, Kansas State might be a little tough at home, but this is really it. So I think we'll put up a great performance being at home and wanting to bounce back. I think our defense will play with a chip on their shoulder after being embarrassed last weekend. Hopefully our O-line does that too, but I don't really have any faith in our O-line, to be honest. I don't. So hopefully they do as well as they can, which I'm praying is just to be average. But I still think that we get Bijan loose a lot. Casey's great. He's going to make plays for us. Off schedule or on schedule, he's going to move the ball for us. And Xavier Worthy, I think he'll keep the hype train going. So I'm thinking Texas is going to win this game 38-27. So I'm thinking Texas will cover and win by multiple scores.
Yeah, I think we both have kind of a similar thought in terms of spread for the game. I'm predicting something a little more high scoring. I think Texas goes back to, I think their model really going forward with the rest of the season is they know that they can put up points, and they know that their defense is not exactly the best unit. So I think from here on out, Sark's goal will be to just all gas, no brakes it on offense, and hope that our defense at least does a decent enough job to slow the opposition down to not scoring as much as we do. So kind of taking a Oklahoma approach from years previous, where they basically just piled down points and knew that their defense was kind of maybe a significant bend, but not fully break, type thing. So I'm kind of expecting that going forward with the rest of the season. So I got this game 52-41. I don't think we fully blow Oklahoma State out. I know a lot of people think that we will, just given the fact that, we'll probably be pissed off, and hopefully so, after that Oklahoma game, and are looking to make a statement. But Oklahoma State's been too good against us in recent history, especially here at DKR. I think just about every game we play with them, not even recent history, just history in general, really ever since we joined the Big 12, Oklahoma State's been very competitive with us, definitely since Gundy. So I definitely expect them to put up a fight. They have not scored, 38 point, wait, 30, 41, 52, 41. They have not scored 41 points or anywhere close to that all season, but they get up for this game. Obviously, Mike Gundy gets up for this game and always does pretty well against us. So I think they'll find a way to put up points, but not be able to match our firepower. And I think that even though we're playing a really good defense in Oklahoma State, I just think that given the recruits in town and this previous game, I think Sark's gonna completely unleash everything that he can before we go into the bye week and just do everything in his power to do all these cool plays in front of recruits and on a national. I mean, I guess this is a national stage, but a Fox noon kickoff type game. So yeah, I think that's the same spread per se, but 52-41 Texas.
Yeah, this is a big game. I keep forgetting that this is the number 12 team in the country and they're undefeated coming to Austin. So if we do get this win and win comfortably, I think it'll go a long way. I mean, going into the bye week at 5-2, we'll be definitely be in the top 20 if we win this game. Mm-hmm. And we'll be, squarely in the Big 12 title picture. And honestly, the way we lost Oklahoma, yeah, we lost. It was embarrassing. We choked it away, but we didn't we showed that we're a skilled team that definitely has potential. And if we go out and stack that with a good performance against the top 15 team and win that comfortably in front of all these recruits, I think it'll be good for the optics of everything, but I think the recruiting buzz will be really strong too after that. So it's a big game for, kind of swing the momentum of the season right here. Because if you drop this, then it's going to start looking really grim, looking down the stretch. So if you win this, you're in a great spot at 5-2 heading into the bye week in the top 20.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts do you have before we wrap this bad boy up?
That's it. I'm good.
Ready to move on to this game and get this one under a belt. And then we got a bye week. So that'll be nice to take a little break and get ready for the rest of the season. But yeah, again, if you guys are going, bring your pep, bring your hype, put on your war paint or whatever you do, and get excited for a game with big implications for the future of the program, as well as the immediate future of the program. So with all that said, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment, especially if you're new here. And let's look forward to hopefully a good UT win, a good bounce back win this Saturday. So, welcome.